Clerk, please introduce discussion item 202.
Item 202, consideration of a proposed ballot measure to amend the city charter related to Charter Section 43D, Citizens Review Board on Police Practices. Note that this item is not subject to the mayor's veto. We do have about 5 public speakers on this item.
On June 28, 2016, the council unanimously voted to direct the city attorney to return to council on August 1st with a proposed amendment to Charter Section 43D, Citizens Review Board on Police Practices, which would make the following changes. Rename the Citizens Review Board on Police Practices to the Community Review Board on Police Practices. Replace references to city manager with mayor and council so that the 2 branches of power will jointly have purview over this board. Add to the charter that the review board shall review all cases involving in-custody deaths and officer-related shootings. All of these recommendations came from several hearings in the past year at both the Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods and the Charter Review Committees. With that, Ms. Emerald, did you want to say something before we go to public comment, or?
Well, just that I understand that this doesn't go quite as far as some of the advocates hoped it would, but it is a step in the right direction, especially with regard to the citizens, soon to be, I hope, the Community Review Board, looking at all of the deaths in custody and police-related shootings, through the municipal code and the budget process this year, we also allocated money for the review board to hire its own attorney rather than relying on an attorney from the city attorney's office to offer some level of independence. And as we go forward, hopefully this group will morph. But the biggest issue, I believe, facing the Citizens Review Board, Community Review Board, whatever it winds up being going forward, is that we need the community to be engaged in it. This is volunteer work by private citizens. It entails a lot of hours. We know that. It's a demand. But what we keep hearing is that we want this review board to represent the broader community. The only way it's going to do that is if people in the community step up and volunteer to be part of the process. Recently, the review board hasn't been able to hold its meetings for lack of quorum. So we absolutely need the public to step up. If this process is going to improve, if we're going to earn the public's trust, the public really does need to be part of the process, to join the effort and join this board and help make a difference. So with that, we'll wait for public comment, and then I'll be happy to move the item.
Given the number of speakers for for public comment on this item, testimony will be limited to 2 minutes per person. Clerk, please proceed.
Yes, we'll begin with speakers in opposition. Francine Maxwell, please come forward. She'll be followed by speakers in favor, beginning with Hud Collins, followed by Margaret Kuchnia.
Francine Maxwell, 4th Council resident. Although I'm glad that something is going, something still equals a little bit of nothing. We are in hard times right now, and this is not even a baby step. We know that the sheriff's CRB has subpoena power. That's what we're asking for this CRB to have for the city of San Diego, to show the people that we are about our Father's business. They need to have an independent investigator. They don't need to take the word of somebody that's already investigated their friends. So although I'm happy that we're going to be moving on something, there's things that should have been done that would move this into almost a crawl right now. Given that San Diego is a leader in many avenues over this nation when it comes to our law enforcement, the CRB is pivotal, and we are at a pivotal time right now. So I would hope that, like I said, that we would move towards looking how the sheriffs has subpoena power, independent investigators. I'm glad that they get to hire their own attorney, but I would have settled for even giving the CRB a stipend. They spend their gas money to go. They're willing to donate the many hours that it takes for their community. We have excellent people in this community, but you need to give people something when they work hard. I went to their meeting. They set up a booth at a local fair, and they were trying to recruit. I think that was excellent. A man asked for t-shirts T-shirts are $7. I think that the city could afford to give the CRB a $7 T-shirt. And if we needed to make a deal, I think there's some people in the sports world that would give them a $5 T-shirt. The man was not asking for much when he donates his time to be on the CRB. He donated his weekend to go to one of the fairs to try to get more people interested. This is a team effort. We are in this together. So let's start to do some things to meet each other in the middle.
Thank you. Turning to speakers in favor, Hud Collins, followed by Margaret Kuchnia, followed by Kate Yavenditti. Mr. Collins?
Mr. Collins is before you, ma'am.
Pardon?
Mr. Collins is before you.
I'm sorry. I have bad hearing.
Council, I echo the thoughts by that young lady here. Now, I do not agree, Council Pro Tem, that this should be changed to community. This is a Citizens Review Board. Citizens. That's what it should stay. I do echo the thoughts in these changes here. However, if you're going to add shall review all shootings, that is not an amendment. That is a revision to this situation. It is not an amendment, Council President. Additionally, one of the things that I have thought about, and I'm not sure it's within the Citizens Review Board to determine, are body cams. Do they have jurisdiction over body cams? I'm not so sure. If they don't, that's one of the things that needs to be changed immediately. It's nice that the police department has rules and regulations, but it should be the Citizens Review Board who not only puts those requirements out, but reviews that situation. Once again, my hat is off to the police in this city who do a fabulous job all the time, and they should be commended every day of the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Kuchnia, followed by Kate Yavenditti, followed by Martha Sullivan.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the City Council for first putting something on the measure, on the ballot. And thank you all for meeting with us over a period of time. I'm here representing myself, however, not Women Occupy San Diego. I have several things. First, I am disappointed that the measure does not include independent investigators, independent counsel, and subpoena power. I feel like what you put on the ballot is a token. And frankly, I hate to say this, it's kind of like I'm betraying my cause, but I agree with Councilman Gloria. I think this could not even go on the ballot, I'm sorry to say, because it is just a token. It's not a sincere effort as far as I'm concerned. I think if you want to develop trust, you have to do something that invokes trust. I think one of the problems of people not wanting to volunteer, I've heard this said over and over again, volunteer for what? Volunteer for an inconsequential board, and pardon me for those who serve on the board, because I know that they work hard. I'm sorry that they work that hard and that they don't have any power to effectuate what they're working on. And I appreciate the police. I really do. I don't want to see them going out into neighborhoods where they're not trusted either. However, they have to trust the people. They have to trust the Citizens Review Board. They have to trust the council to do what is correct. And I feel like you have not lived up to what your responsibilities are in this situation. Thank you very much for any efforts you've put into this.
Thank you. Kate Yavenditti, followed by Martha Sullivan, followed by Michael Russell.
Good afternoon, Council President Leitner and council members. My name is Kate Yavenditti, as you all know, because I've been here many times before. I'm with Women Occupy San Diego, as well as the National Lawyers Guild. We've met with many of you. We've been to many of your meetings, and we're pleased with the attention that the council has given this year to CRB reform. And obviously, as you all know, we are disappointed that our proposal and the main parts of our proposal were not adopted by the council, but we're not going away, and we will continue to work on this. But I would like to clear up some misconceptions from the June City Council meeting that I think are important, and I know that council members already know this, but I just want to say this again. There was some suggestion that this ballot proposal language was our language. It is not our language. It's actually primarily Council Member Todd Gloria's language, and we appreciate all the work that he's put into this and the time and thought that he and his staff had given to this proposal. Our language, which was presented to y'all, was not accepted. Secondly, there was some indication that it's felt that Women Occupy has an anti-law enforcement agenda. As we have stated, and as you've heard from the prior speaker, we do not, of course. We have said in all of our meetings that we believe that the reforms that we're asking for the CRB will increase community trust in law enforcement, which is essential. As Chief Zimmerman noted recently, commenting on the recent tragic death of Officer de Guzman, we need to build community trust. That's been our slogan. We see CRB reform as a win-win situation for law enforcement and for the community. As we've also said before, the whole recruitment issue, as you've heard before, is also an issue of trust. We know of a number of people who have applied for the board who have been rejected because they are seen as too activist. So I am asking that the proposal go on the ballot, and we will continue to work with the board and everyone else on the reforms that we're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Martha Sullivan, followed by Michael Russell. And while Ms. Sullivan's coming forward, let me note that Evie Kossauer and Stephanie Jennings also submitted speaker slips in favor but did not wish to speak. Martha Sullivan.
Good afternoon. I'm the daughter of a career FBI agent. I spent my life living under the shadow of the danger that his chosen profession meant for him. So I don't take it lightly at all, the threat that police officers face in their job. I don't take the challenge that any city employee faces doing their job. Women Occupy has not done this in any way, shape, or form as an anti-police agenda. I want to make that really clear to Councilmember Sherman. I also want to point out to the City Council that just this last week, it was reported that for the second time, a federal judge has told the City of San Diego to turn over records of all officer-involved shooting for the past 3 years to the family of an unarmed man shot to death by an officer last year. The federal judge also ruled that the family of Ferdun Nahad, which is suing the city in federal court over the shooting, will not have to pay the estimated $12,000 city officials said it would cost to assemble and review the information. This is another example of why we need independent legal counsel for the Citizens Review Board, hopefully to be called the Community Review Board, and we need independent investigators. The city attorney for this city argued twice that the city should not release these records to a family of a man that was shot and killed erroneously, and had the audacity to suggest that they should pay $12,000 to do it. This is another example of why this ballot measure needs to be much more than it is.
Thank you. Michael Russell.
So since the last time I was up here, when we broached this subject, there's been some shootings in Dallas of police. There's been some shootings in Baton Rouge of police in response to the shootings of legally carrying in citizens in their communities. And it's just a matter of time until it happens here again. And you have the choice to make, to lead on this subject and create trust, or you can just sit back and let it continue to be a kind of rubber stamp for the police. I think it's a good thing that you're putting something on the ballot, that it's moving forward baby steps, and I can't speak against going forward, but until you have a plan, If Todd Gloria wants to put something in the municipal code, I think that's great. Let's see the verbiage for that, where that's going, how we're going to be able to have subpoena power, how we're going to have independent counsel, how we're going to have access to body cams so that the citizens can oversee what the police are doing and put it in the public view where it's transparent, online, where all the issues that come up can be put out in the public and talked about by everybody in their communities. And until you guys do something to lead Scott Sherman, to lead on this subject, we're going to continue to come back here and we're going to continue to push on this until, if it's necessary, we will replace you up there and we'll put in a real Citizens Review Board. Thank you for your time.
That concludes the public speakers on this item.
I respectfully request that you not clap during the council meeting. If you choose to agree with the speaker, please wave your hands so that we are not interrupting the speakers as they are speaking. I do want to give a special thanks to Council President Pro Tem Emerald, along with all the members of the Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods and the Charter Review Committees for their work on this proposal. I'd also like to thank the members of the CRB, the Executive Director, Charmaine Mosley, and all the citizens who have participated in this process. And I'm very pleased to see this change come to the Charter. It's important that the Charter remain a high-level document, and as the last speaker alluded to, a lot of the details will be in the municipal code. It allows us to check out what works and what doesn't work before we have to go to a vote of the people. And by having this be a joint responsibility of the mayor and council instead of, as it is right now, the quote-unquote city manager, it's going to be a huge change, and I think it will provide a great opportunity for the community to help us get there. Council President Pro Tem Emerald, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Doug Case to the microphone. Are you the newly installed chair of the Citizens Review Board? His Eminence. Right now, what documents do you, as members of the CRB, have access to when you conduct investigations?
We look at everything that the that the investigators looked at. And so that includes the body-worn camera, all the interviews, every single thing that the Internal Affairs looked at, we have access to.
What difference would this package make if it goes to the ballot and is approved by voters?
Well, I will say that we already have been delegated the responsibility for overseeing investigations of officer-involved shootings and in custody deaths. This would codify that so that it becomes a permanent guarantee to function of the board. And as was mentioned by Council President Leitner, the joint oversight between the City Council and the Mayor's office, I think will strengthen the board.
So would you like to see this go on the ballot? Do you think it'll make your job not so much easier, but at least give you the tools that you need to go out and arrive at the truth?
I think it'd be a positive step forward, but there also are many discussions that are going on about things that we can do outside of a ballot charter change to improve the board. We're working on things currently like finding a way to audit the Category 2, which are the less serious complaints, but some of which are nonetheless significant. And so we're looking at several different issues, including the legal counsel issue, without the necessity of putting it on the ballot, but I think the ballot initiative would be a positive step forward.
Okay. And you've been on the CRB for how long yourself?
3 years.
Okay. And the value of subpoena power, I know there was considerable discussion about that, and there were split votes on it, and didn't get the support from council members to go forward with subpoena power, but would that make this measure stronger?
I think there's mixed opinions on the board. The board itself has discussed that, and we didn't take a position, so I don't want to take a position on behalf of the board because there's mixed feelings on the board.
I gotcha. And of course, the sheriff, the man who runs the sheriff's law enforcement review board, says that they have subpoena power, but they haven't really used it, but just a few times on very rare occasions. But do you think this would be worth the investment to put on the ballot then as a charter amendment to help you get at the truth?
Again, I don't know the cost, but I think it would be a step forward. and I would recommend that be put on the ballot.
All right, I do appreciate, I appreciate all of your work and the work of everybody who volunteers on the CRB.
And if you don't mind, if I can make a correction to a statement that you made, we have not had any meetings that we were not able to get a quorum at. So all of our meetings, we've had a quorum. The
My
difficulty
apology.
is that we have a requirement in our bylaws that we have 10 votes in the affirmative or the negative to take action on any measure, and we only have 18 members right now. So when we have a split opinion, sometimes we can't make a decision.
All right, and that may have been it. And I apologize. I was given misinformation then. My apology. All right, thank you so very much. We appreciate the work of the CRB. And I know this doesn't go nearly as far as some people hoped it would. When we began all of the series of committee meetings and coming to council, but it is a helpful step forward. And I would like to see the voters have an opportunity to weigh in on this. And I would like to see the CRB, along with council and mayor, all share this responsibility to make sure there are checks and balances. And as we work within the municipal code to strengthen our ability to get at the truth at complaints that come into our police department. So with that, I will move the item to place on the ballot for consideration in November.
Councilmember Gloria?
Thank you, Ms. Leitner. I'm happy to second Ms. Emerald's motion, and I would respectfully ask that Ms. Cole and I be given the opportunity to write the statement in support of this measure.
That would be fine with me, sure.
Thank you very much. I want to maybe share a difference of opinion. I don't think that this is a baby step. I don't think this is a half measure. I think this is the first step towards the transformational change that I've heard from members of the community that they want with the CRB. And while, oftentimes I think people come to that podium or the one next door and want a simple answer to a complex problem, those rarely exist. Change requires you to show up day after day and grind it out to get it done. And I know there's a lot of people in this room who do that all the time. This measure alone is not the sole solution to the changes that people wish to see, but it addresses very significant ones. I've heard from people in many public hearings that they want more accountability and transparency. They want opportunities to change the CRB. But I think those of you who've been active in this issue know that that authority solely resides with the mayor. This measure changes that. It provides an opportunity for this council to act as a co-equal branch to provide oversight over the CRB, to change the very policies that people have got at that microphone and said that they want to see changed. I don't currently have that authority. If the voters approve this, I would. And then, I don't know if you know, but there's no non-agenda public comment for the mayor's office. You don't get to come to that microphone twice a week and tell him what's right on your mind. That is transformational change. We will codify, as Mr. Case mentioned, that all in-custody deaths and officer-involved shootings will be reviewed by the CRB. It is done in a less formal fashion, but it'll be locked into our charter going forward. And it'll take the appropriate step of saying that this is the community's review board, not a citizens review board, which we've heard plenty of testimony feels exclusive to some in our community and ought to change. Now, I don't want to besmirch the mayor. The mayor, I think, actually has been trying to engage on this in a very meaningful way, and I appreciate that. I think that there are more things to come. But some of the comments today also ignored the fact that this city council appropriated money for outside counsel in this year's budget. So those of you who are asking for it, good news. It's been done. Cross it off your list of things to do. Now, take the next step with me and vote for this measure in November, and then come back after November and continue to demand the changes that are done. It won't just take one vote. It takes time and again. And if you think you can show up here every couple of years and think that that's sufficient, that is wrong. Change does not happen that way. That is exactly why we need a citizens or community review board, because we need people there every single month reviewing cases and making sure that the trust that we expect to have between neighborhoods and the police department actually exists. And to the extent that we've taken plenty of testimony that says, you know what, this could be better, this is the council saying we're going to do better. I've made already, in an hour's time, made plenty clear that I don't think everything on our list of agendas today and tomorrow are a priority for November's ballot. This one is a priority. It happens within a national context of things that are going on where people are saying we need to talk about the relationship between the police department and the neighborhoods they police. This is in part our response. The vote to fund outside counsel is a part of that response. The discussion that can come in December, if this is approved, will be a part of that response. I'm proud of my colleagues for the support that they've shown to date. I ask for their support for this measure today. It will increase our authority. It will make us a co-equal branch of government, as we already are, but not in respect to the CRB today. It'll change the name to be more inclusive of many of the constituents that we all have the honor of serving. It will make sure that some of the most terrible things that our police officers encounter in a day are reviewed by citizens. And I think it will increase the overall sense in the community that if something went wrong, that there will be accountability held. And I say that in the context where I know that the vast majority of our police officers are incredible public servants that do good things. We know some of them don't. And this is why we have the CRB. If you pass this stuff in November, I think that we'll be much more likely to be able to say with a straight face to our communities that bad cops will be held accountable, and that starts with a vote right now. So thank you, Ms. Emerald. Thank you for having the hearings on this. Thank you for continually, again, grinding it out, having multiple hearings, providing multiple chances for people to talk about it. Same to Ms. Leitner, who I think has had some at her committee as well. Thank you to Ms. Cole for supporting the language that, as was mentioned, was largely developed by my staff, in part from the public testimony from people we heard from today, but also from CRB members who are sitting in those chairs every single month looking at those cases. I'm going to take their point of view and include it. And I would note that they didn't feel the need for subpoena power, not universally. But I'll tell you that if this passes, it's going to be much more likely that that can be done in the future. So no baby steps, ladies and gentlemen. True change that will make a real difference for an organization that is very important to the kinds of to the work that we do here in protecting our communities. So happy to second the motion, encourage my colleagues' support, and hopefully we can get this done come November. Thank you, Ms. Leitner.
So we have a motion by Council President Pro Tem Emerald, seconded by Councilmember Gloria, to adopt the ordinances in sub-item A to place this measure on the November 8th, 2016 ballot, and adopt the resolution in sub-item B directing the preparation of related ballot measures. Council Member Todd Gloria and Council Member Myrtle Cole are assigned to write the ballot argument in favor of this measure. Council Member Cole.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Mr. Gloria and Ms. Emerald. I am very happy to co-author the argument in favor, as Mr. Gloria and everyone stated, that these changes will definitely enhance the independence of the board and help to build the public's trust in law enforcement, as we all want and need. So I'm very happy to co-author. Thank you.
Councilmember Sherman.
Thank you, and I just wanted to thank the people who came down and spoke today. And the words that were used today were much better than the last time we had a meeting on this, and I think it goes towards a more constructive solution to the problem that's before us and confronting us as a nation. I think we're really getting to the point where when we quit throwing names and using inflammatory wording, that we can actually sit down and concentrate on what matters most to both sides, and that we actually find that we have more in common than we do apart. I think transparency is very important when it comes to our police matters. I also understand that in a very large force, if there's one or two people that are bad in that force, as bad as that is, those statistics are very, very good. Every organization has, one or two bad people in there. We do everything we can to screen and make sure that our police are the best ones in the nation. But every once in a while, some do follow through, and we need to make sure that the ones that do wrong are punished and held accountable. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we're not casting aspersions at the entire force and changing the narrative of how we're supposed to support our police force. Because at the end of the day, no matter where we live in this city, we all want the same thing. We want a good, safe neighborhood to live in. We want to be able to raise our kids where they feel safe and they can get a good education and they can have opportunity that maybe we didn't have and have a better life. That's what we all want across the board. I'd really like to see us get to a point, and I think today may have started that, where we can actually concentrate on those things first, on what we have in common, and then the things that separate us and drive us apart are a little easier to deal with and a little more in common, a little more at peace when it comes to dealing with the differences, because we know that there are so many things that we have in common. I don't know if this is going to solve it today, so I'm probably going to be voting no for it because I voted no last time. This is the first of several no's coming today, so don't feel like it's only towards this issue. But I just wanted to thank you for the tone and the temperament of today's meeting compared to last. I think it's going a big step in the right direction. Thank you.
With that, we do have a motion by Council President Pro Tem Emerald, seconded by Councilmember Gloria. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll. That motion carries 8-1 with Council District 7 voting no. Clerk, would you please introduce item S400?
Yes, item S400.